Hello, I'm Nathan. I'll be doing something a little bit different today. Today I'm going to be doing a review of the DP manual or Depersonalization manual, but for the sake of me not having to repeat that over and over, I'm going to keep referring to it as DP. That was written by Shaun O'Connor. Quick little story about me. I suffered a panic attack back in February of last year at work, very randomly, and it caused me to have this condition. And for many, many months, I had no idea what it is until I stumbled upon Shaun's YouTube page where he talks about the condition, which led me to buy his DP manual. The manual comes with PDF files. That is essentially the book. There is no physical book copy, which I wish there was, but doesn't matter. It comes with the PDFs files, and it comes with videos. It comes with the audiobook version, downloaded on your phone, and some extra stuff, and I'm here to talk about that. So we'll start with the pros. Shaun does a very good job, better than anyone else I've seen talk on the subject of DP, of explaining what it is and what it's not and why it happens to some people. He goes into depth about his personal story, about how he got this condition and what he needed to do to get over it. It's very comforting to know that I wasn't going crazy, or I wasn't dealing with some type of other mental condition that was much, much more severe. I knew the second he was describing the symptoms of DP that was exactly what I was dealing with, but I didn't know what the term was. So that's all the best stuff in the book, in my opinion. The best stuff is him describing what DP is, and he has a great chapter in the book about what DP is not, saying it's not schizophrenia, it's not all these other much more horrific, much more devastating mental conditions, and it's just a symptom of anxiety. And he talks about ways of what you can do to help get rid of it, and that's where some of the cons come in. So we're going to start with some of the other stuff that I have some issues with. We'll start with the first thing. When you buy the DP manual, you get the Golden Rules Guide, which lists 10 rules of these are things you need to follow every day until you start getting over your DP. One of those rules is no masturbating, which I found to be interesting because the reasoning he mentioned no masturbating is because science shows that it gives you low levels of testosterone, and that can affect your mental health, and that can affect your DP or your anxiety. Now, I've done a lot of research on this subject, and Shaun is not accurate. There has been no scientific conclusion or studies that show that people who masturbate get low levels of testosterone. In fact, some studies even suggested that there may not be a link between people with low testosterone and people who masturbate or engage in sexual activities. Some have even shown studies that it actually helps with testosterone. So I'm not sure where Shaun is getting his facts. He doesn't mention where he gets his facts. And pretty much every article I've read from Men's Health, from medical articles online that talk about testosterone and erectile function and health, say that that's not accurate. So that's something that I think Shaun needs to look into, and I encourage other people to look into it as well. One of the other things he mentions that I disagree with is reading before bed. Seems like an odd thing to say you shouldn't be doing. Shaun says, first of all, I should mention that Shaun is very pro-reading. He's pro-reading, he's pro-films and music. There's a whole section in the DP talking about these things to help you, distract you from always focusing on your DP or your anxiety. And he's like, listen to music, watch your favorite movies, television shows, do whatever you need to do to not focus on it. Great advice. I agree with that advice. But when he talks about the sleeping patterns of DP and things that you need to do every night before you go to bed, he specifically says bed should be a place for resting and not a place for watching TV or reading books. Now, I agree with don't watching TV before bed, because TV keeps people up. It keeps you overstimulated before you're about to go to bed, can cause difficulty sleeping, can cause weird dreams. All of that stuff is true. However, Shaun is just wrong when it comes to reading before bed. There have been numerous studies, and I will put all of my sources in the descriptions of this video, numerous studies that show not only is reading before bed good for you, but it actually helps you sleep. It promotes more restful sleep. There was a study done in Sussex in the United Kingdom about how reading was so much more helpful to people falling asleep than listening to music, than drinking tea, than even going out for a walk. reading helps promote better sleep. So Shaun is not accurate in that, and he doesn't say why. He just says no reading before bed. I fundamentally disagree with that. I think it's wrong. I think reading before bed actually helps a lot of people. It will help you sleep. It'll help you feel more relaxed. Of course, keep in mind what you do read. If you're reading stuff that deals with existential, crazy stuff, then that's probably not the best stuff to read before bed. But if you're reading classic literature, let's say like To Kill a Mockingbird, or if you're reading a good autobiography of a musician you admire or something like that, that's something you should be doing. It helps take your mind off things, it relaxes you, and you will sleep better as a result of it. And now we're going to go into another issue I have with what Shaun is saying, is he has some contradictory information in one area in particular, and that is not thinking about DP. Now, he does say, the reason a lot of people stay in this condition is because they're constantly researching it, they're constantly thinking about it, they're constantly talking with other people who are dealing with it. That might be helpful at first, but if you keep doing that, you're going to keep yourself in this condition. That is all true. Where it gets contradictory is when Shaun talks about this calendar that he's made. It's also part of the 10 Golden Rules. He has a file where you print out as many sheets of paper that show out the week, and it gives you a list of 5 things that you need to be doing every day in order to get rid of the depersonalization. My question is if you don't want me to think about the depersonalization, why am I printing out a calendar that forces me to think about it not only weekly, but every single day? Shaun also does not specify whether or not this is a temporary measure or this is something that needs to be done until you're completely out of DP. Doesn't specify that at all. I tried the calendar thing. It made my DP and anxiety worse because, rather obviously, it kept me thinking on it. And Shaun, no disrespect to you if you're watching this, but I crumpled that paper up and I threw it away. And when I did, I felt better. And I've been doing a lot better not looking at the book, not looking at the schedule, because it keeps me not thinking about it. And therefore, I've been having much, much better days as a result of it. So I think that's something that you should keep in mind. And the last bit is his bit on food and dietary stuff. Now, I think it should go without saying that whenever people are dealing with any sort of difficulty, whether it's physical or mental, making sure you're eating a well-balanced diet is obviously very important. Staying hydrated, all very important. Shaun has bits in here, talks about the stuff that you need to avoid. This is where it gets a little tricky, and this could be more associated with me than with other people out there. Shaun talks about staying away from salty snacks, no chips, no pretzels, none of that stuff. Staying away from sweets, staying away from sugar in general, unless it's coming from natural fruit. And I guess my problem with this is that it gives me anxiety. For example, if I'm going out to dinner with family or I'm going out to dinner with friends. Let's say we're going to a pizza restaurant. Well, pizza has a lot of salt, has a lot of sodium, has a lot of cheese and stuff. I would be sitting there thinking, I can't have pizza because Shaun says there's a lot of salt in it and that's going to give me more DP and more anxiety. And because of that, I can't eat this. And I know Shaun didn't directly contribute to this, but I have always been a thin individual, about 6 foot. Usually I used to weigh at around 140, 145 at my best. I am now at around 130. I lost 15 pounds during this anxiety and DP thing I've been dealing with since February. And one of the reasons I've lost so much weight is because the way Shaun talks about food in here is like, you can't have this. If you have it, you'll have a complete meltdown. And Shaun is wrong. Once again, you can treat yourself every now, like what everybody says about when it comes to sweets. You can treat yourself every now and again. You don't need to completely avoid it. You shouldn't be eating it every day. That should be going without saying. But for example, I was afraid to have ice cream. I remember one day I was really wanting ice cream and I'm like, well, Shaun says I can't have it. And that gave me a lot of anxiety just thinking about that. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to have some goddamn ice cream. So I had a whole bowl of ice cream. I ate it all. And guess what? I felt great. I had no anxiety, no DP for that entire day. And the next day, it didn't affect me going into the next day either. So he created another obstacle for me to get through that, in my opinion, wasn't necessary. All that Shaun really needed to say when it came to food is making sure you're eating every day, making sure you're incorporating healthy food stuff. And if you feel like you need to have a snack, or if you feel like you want to have a treat every now and again, you should. You shouldn't be afraid of it. And that's how he talks about alcohol. There's a whole thing when he talks about alcohol and how you can treat yourself to alcohol, but you need to make sure that you don't overindulge. Rather obvious advice. So I'm not sure why he talks about, yeah, you can treat yourself to alcohol, but God forbid if you decide to have a donut one day, it'll make your anxiety much worse. It would only make your anxiety worse if you were eating really shitty every single day. And not only will it make your anxiety worse, I think more importantly, it'll make your physical health worse for obvious reasons. So those I realize I just mentioned a lot of cons there, and I did a lot of rambling about stuff that I found negative in the book. But the truth is, it is a very well written book, and it did help. It helped the most in terms of me understanding the condition and understanding what the condition does not lead to. That part was very important. But there is some stuff in here that I have difficulty with, and the biggest of which is whenever Shaun mentions stuff with scientific study that's contradictory to actual scientific evidence, that's when I have a problem. And the reason I'm making this video is because not a lot of people have made a video review specifically on Shaun's writing for the DP manual. But I encourage people who are dealing with this condition to give it a shot. Judge for yourself. Shaun has a YouTube page. He has his own website. I'll put the description for his website in this video here. Feel free to check it out. And also remember, just a word of encouragement, as someone who's been dealing with this for a little over a year now, it does get better. I'm not comfortable enough to say that I've fully gotten over the hurdle, but I can definitely say in terms of the first week I dealt with this, where I felt like I was losing my fucking mind, to now, I've gotten so much better. And even though there's still a ways to go, don't give up hope. Everything is going to be okay in the end. And I think that's an important message. And so I hope this video helps for people. And please let me know how you felt about Shaun's book. If you read it, mention it in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching.